So I'm Dan Coco. I'm the coordinator of student engagement, and um, we like to do these leadership lunch series to help uh, get students more acclimated to leadership positions and just develop themselves personally. Um, and today's topic will be about self-care and how important it is, and avoiding burnout and dealing with burnout, which sometimes inevitably comes. So, yeah, let's get started. Share screen. Okay, so self-care, as important as it is, it's self-care really refers to the actions and practices that we engage in regularly to reduce the stress and maintain and enhance our short and really long-term well-being. And this includes four main components, which is physical, mental, emotional, well, five, sorry, uh, social, and even spiritual practices. And so for college students, self care is especially important because your lifestyle is fast paced, often unpredictable, and comes with a lot of unique challenges, such as like academic pressures, social expectations, and sometimes even financial worries. So without proper care, it's easy to become overwhelmed, leading to burnout or mental health challenges. So, in today's Leadership Lunch series, we're going to talk about uh, burnout and stress, kind of an intro to self care, what it means, understanding the different styles of self care and how to implement them into your life, what works for you, and then we'll close it out. So, burnout is something that inevitably happens to us all. So, really, what happens? Happens to us all at multiple points in our lives. And how can we really um, recognize when we're about to feel burnt out? Um, and what does it mean to feel burnt out? Is it constant fatigue even after having, full 10 hours of sleep? Feeling detached or hopeless, being depressed, decreased academic performance or motivation, irritability, and increased frustration. And stress is really normal in small amounts, but chronic stress can affect your mental health, leading to anxiety, depression, and even physical symptoms like headaches or digestive issues. So, recognizing these signs early on is crucial because when it's left unchecked, burnout can cause major disruptions in not only academic performance, but also your overall well being. And if you start to notice this, it's important to intervene early by adjusting your schedule or seeking support through whatever means necessary. And how can we deal with this, you're guessing? Is by practicing self care. Yes. So I wanted to ask you guys, what is self care? What is self care to you guys? If you guys want to just add a little bit into the chat. Taking time for yourself, totally, Nor. Taking care of your health, yeah, totally. Of yourself first, yes. Making sure I'm my best, but also my most feeling comfortable and healthy. Adding a healthy hobby or activity to balance out your busy schedule. Having resilience, yeah, these are all great, you guys. Balancing life's needs and how to manage the stress that comes along with it. Totally, Kenley. Definitely. And so Really, you guys nailed it. In its simplest terms, self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve um, or even improve your own health. And it can take many different forms depending on what areas of life, of your life, that you want to improve. And this is something that I'm going to touch on a little bit more as we go through. But self-care really isn't selfish, you know. It's really about not kind of reframing it of putting yourself first, but to make sure that you're like a complete person and that you're able to handle things going on in your life and that you're really taking care of yourself, because that's the most important, you know, because if, you know, regardless of school, work, or anything, it's really, you know, yourself at the end of the day that needs the most, right? So, I mean, if you're lacking in some areas, then that's okay. You know, you can improve upon it, and you're not going to be, you know, perfect at it right away. But you know, it takes time. Um, so we're gonna dive into. Oh, we just did this. Um, the dimensions of self care. So there's five main ones. It's physical, mental and emotional, social, and spiritual. So physical self care looks like exercise, sleep, and nutrition. And staying physically active, eating balanced meals, and getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep are fundamental for overall health. Think of physical self care as the foundation on which other types of self care are built, because you need to exercise at least 2.5 hours of moderate intensity exercise per week. And that's cumulative, that's not 2.5 hours per day. Um, So it could be walking, could be doing, you know, some home workouts, or if you like to go to the gym, or if you like to play tennis, or, you know, whatever physical activity. And sleep is especially crucial because research shows that college age students need around 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night to be healthy. You know, it's very important that we, you know, prioritize things like this. You know, it's immensely important because, like, if you're not, you know, your best self, you can't really do your best work and, you know, help others to the best of your capabilities. And so it's just very um important to keep yourself, you know, going. And nutrition, fruits and veggies, whole grains, protein, healthy fats, and dairy, and drink water, at least 6 to 8 glasses per day. And I know I have some days where I severely lack in that, and I can really tell because, like, I'm cloudy headed, or I'm just drinking, you know, you know, energy drinks or not water, and it's like I severely feel it the next day. I'm like, oh wow, I should definitely be drinking more water today. So um, it's incredibly important to also mindfully eat, and so take the time to eat balanced things. You know, that just means to keep everything in moderation, really. You know, it's okay to, you know, completely, you know, eat gummy bears, you know, and, you know, but also balance it out with, you know, other things. But, you know, everyone, you know, starts someplace. So this is just, you know, like a guide. Um, and so talking about mental and emotional self care includes things like stress management, emotional intelligence, and coping mechanisms. And so, listening to music, stepping away from schoolwork for a little bit, and focusing on something else, watching something funny. I know whenever I'm feeling a little burnt out, I'll just like go on a deep YouTube dive and, you know, watch something funny, or, you know, just to kind of regroup and get get reacclimated to what I'm supposed to be working on. Um, Yeah, it's incredibly important. Um, Meditation is incredibly important, you know. So it's really about being self-reflective and getting in touch with your emotions is emotional intelligence. So things like emotional regulation or self-reflection. And so emotional regulation is managing your emotions really, whether it's deep breathing, mindfulness, or using cognitive strategies, and learning to respond in a healthier way can make a big difference, really listening to your body. And coping mechanisms, those look different for everybody because what might work for me might not work for someone else. And it's all about finding what works for you. So, how can I feel better when something goes wrong, doesn't turn out the way I want it to? Again, we can um, try meditation, breathing techniques, anything to really stay very grounded. It's all about coming back to your sense of self and kind of like regulating yourself and being okay, I can do this. Positive self-talk is incredibly important because it really helps you you know not only stay focused but kind of like focus on the positive even when there's a lot of could be negative things going on, and or just anxiety is normal. So everyone feels it to some degree, so it's best to kind of sit with it, being like, why do I feel like this? Okay, it's going to get better, and you know move on essentially. Okay, and social self-care means maintaining healthy relationships, setting boundaries, and social engagement. And so what I mean about maintaining healthy relationships, I really mean mutual respect, trust and support, honesty, and good communication. I read this article while putting this together that they surveyed like something like 1,500 college students from different colleges, and they were like these were like the five most important things that leads to like healthy platonic and romantic relationships is just these five crucial things, and to prioritize real connections. And it's not really about how many friends you have, but who really has your back, and to spend time with people who genuinely lift you up instead of spreading yourself thin with a bunch of, you know, surface level things. It's also about being yourself, have real, honest conversations with people where you feel like you can just be you, and share openly and really kind of actively listen, because those are the connections that like really matter. Spending time with people who enjoy you for you, you know. It's incredibly important. And so setting boundaries also, understanding your own comfort levels, and kind of gauging what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, and being assertive in communicating your needs and limits. It's okay to say, you know, I'm not comfortable with this, or I don't want to talk about this. And, it's okay to say that, because clearly it's a point where you don't feel comfortable and you don't want to, you know, get triggered, or it brings up other things, or you just don't want to talk about it. That's completely okay. And be honest and upfront about what you can handle. Let people know when you need a space or you can't do something. And this helps you avoid feeling drained or frustrated later on. So, social engagement really relates to participating in clubs, organizations, and campus events to really meet new people. You know, make time for your people. regularly try to at least hang out with friends, family, um, anyone who makes you happy, anyone who kind of charges your battery, I like to say, rather than drains it. And even if it's just like a quick call or, a FaceTime or just texting or just sending reels to each other, it's important. Little moments can really, really make a big difference. And kind of fostering the sense of belonging is about finding your tribe and to really join a group or a club or a community that really vibes with your interests. You know, there's tons of clubs here at CCBC that cater to a variety of different interests and all full of, amazing individuals. And I've seen a lot of people make really, really great friends with, you know, people they just join a new club and then they're like, oh yeah, these are my people. And it's amazing to see, because it's like a bunch of people with a shared interest and then they kind of get exposed to different things. Being part of something bigger can make you feel more connected. And that's very uh, not only important, but it's fulfilling to people. You know, it's it's fulfilling to feel wanted and valued, and at the same time to want to go there. And to have all these like-minded individuals in the same space is very helpful, I think. So spiritual self-care is really about finding meaning. It's about mindfulness. It's about personal reflection. And it's really interesting because all of these kind of meld in between each other. You got spiritual kind of goes into mental and emotional and social, as well as, very physical things, taking walks, finding your own path. It's like it could be through meditation, journaling, nature walks, or just practicing the simple act of gratitude. What am I thankful for today? Or what can I do to show someone that, you know, they've had an impact on me, or how can I feel, you know, grounded? And so try out different things and see what really feels right for you, you know, whether it's a peaceful moment in nature or sitting down in a coffee shop, just doing your own work, or just try out different things. These little rituals can really help you feel more connected to yourself, you know. Um, and so mindfulness is really about staying grounded, you know, and really staying grounded when life gets tough, But it's not only when life gets tough, but sometimes when life does get overwhelming, because inevitably it does, having a sense of purpose can kind of keep you steady and keep you going, and taking a moment to really reflect on what matters or practicing mindfulness can help you stay calm and focused. It might not, be instantaneous, for some it might, but it's all about kind of doing it little by little until it becomes like second nature to be like, okay, I just gotta regroup, focus on staying grounded, what's important to me, and that kind of leads into personal reflection. What does matter to you guys? It's like check in with yourself. You know, uh, the old adage is like check in with like what's in your backyard, kind of look inward and be like, oh, these are the qualities that I enjoy. These are the qualities that I like having in other people. or that other people have, and, kind of just see what you want out of life. And that kind of like personal reflection is, uh, it's about like knowing your core values and the things that truly inspire and drive you, and it helps you make choices that uh, feel right and true to who you are. It's it's very important, I think. Um, did you guys have any questions so far? You guys can just put them in the chat. Anything you guys want to add on before we move forward, or any comments? I'll just take a couple minutes before we move on. Um, so as Maya asked, what is any one best way of journaling? And I've been journaling for a long time, and it kind of looks different um, every time I do it, because sometimes I'm just like writing what I'm feeling. I'm writing down like what I did that day, kind of like getting all your thoughts that are up here and onto the paper can make a world of a difference when you're not even going through hard times, even when you're going through great times. It's great to just feel kind of like you're in the moment, and you're kind of, really thinking and reflecting on like what's important to you. Um, so I would say it looks different to everybody. Some people like to put goals that they would like to have, like in 6 months, I want X job or X amount of money or whatever it might be for you. Um, Yeah, and so Alondra says, I try to do it at the end of the week instead of daily. Yeah, that works too. And I've had weeks where I'm just like caught up in the moment, and, or I'm just not feeling it that day. And that's okay too. The point of all of this is not to hold yourself to this really high standard of this is how my perfect self is going to look like or act like or feel like. And it's really just about like building this sort of thing where it just becomes it's okay to have off days, it's okay to have bad days, it's okay to have great days, and it's okay to have it all, because it's part of being a person, it's part of, you know, it's all about figuring it out, if that makes sense. From what is the healthy amount of limits or boundaries, the extent? Um, in my sort of experience, there's certain things that you don't know are boundaries until you are confronted with them, and then you figure it out and you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think of this, that I was uncomfortable with this. And then there's some that are just like innate, they're very like, oh, I don't like to talk about this. So I think it does vary from person to person. Like there's some people who don't have many boundaries, and there's some people that do, and that's everything is okay. It's just really finding out what kind of works for yourself. There's no one right equation for any of this. It's all about what works for you. um let's see. So from my experience, is it easy to find inner peace? For Max, yes and no. It can vary, because there's certain things that you want, there's certain things that you need, and sometimes they don't always align, you know. But I'd say generally it's very cyclical, where you're very trying to figure stuff out, and then you're on your way to figuring things out, and then you're like, oh, I want to figure this out, if that doesn't sound convoluted. um but yeah, I it's a process like anything, you know. It's about finding meaning, it's about finding what's important to you, you know. um so as Maya said that she has started doing it in her phone with the app, um That works too. Yeah. I mean, audio, visually, writing it down, whatever medium works best for you is is fine, you know. Okay, so I think we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. So I hope that answered some of your guys' questions. Um, so time management, as in my last leadership lunch series that I did last month, um, all of this corresponds and correlates. It's really, it can be difficult to have a schedule, right? Because some days you get into um, like having a certain thing blocked out by hour, and maybe you spend too much time on your phone, or you just get caught up with something else, and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't do this. You know, I I need to kind of factor this in, and fitting things in can be challenging. So it's really good to try different things that work for you. And if you didn't see my previous time management leadership lunch series, it is on our YouTube channel. So if you wanted to go watch it. Um, but yeah, it's really about self-care. Definitely takes a center point of your schedule. You know, self-care sometimes can look like, at the end of the day you do XYZ, but sometimes it's like interspersed throughout the day, or you wake up and you do something, or you're after lunch you go on a walk, or you read a little bit. It's all about, kind of what fits in with your schedule, but also what you want to be doing. And it's all about trying different things. And it's okay if something doesn't work, because there's other things you could try. Um, so as an activity, I'd like to ask you guys to write down just a couple self-care practices that you already do in one area that you would like to improve. It could be as vague or as specific as you like, and only tell what you're comfortable with telling. But if we could take a few minutes to talk about this. I know for my personal standpoint, I like to read. I also like to journal. Um, but I think certain areas that I'd like to improve, I totally like to be more active. Like I've had a gym membership, and I've been like twice in 2 years. So that's something that I would like to improve. It's been a very charitable donation of me to keep paying every month, but um, yeah, that's definitely something that I would like to improve and add. Um, so let's see. Yoga and therapy. I could benefit from journaling more. Sure. What I like to do is read normally, past historic events, and what I can improve on is doing more active things with my son. Yeah, totally. Um, Meditation is the best practice for self care because of how introspective it is and how it limits distractions. But it's definitely something I need to do more with. Definitely. Yeah, I totally agree. It certainly helps taking a moment or even a few moments with yourself to just be like, you're very checking in with yourself. Um, Self care practice, being optimistic about every situation, including bad ones. Sleep, crying out when intense emotions occur. Sure. Improvement, resilience that would promote self respect and love. Totally. I feel that. Yoga, daily walks, reading, spending time with friends and family. I would like to sleep more often, deeply. Not very easy to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep as a nursing student. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Currently, I plan to go out every Saturday. Yeah. One, pray. Two, I like the game. Three, I need to improve on my journaling. Yeah. Four, more sleep and exercise. Yeah, these are all great, guys. Thank you so much. Yoga, journaling, improve on getting enough sleep. You know, read and paint and listen to music. I would like to get better at committing to my hobbies and time management. Yeah, these are, thank you guys very much for putting all this in. Making time to sit outside, preferably, definitely. One thing I always do is set aside at least 1 hour of my day to relax and read. Yeah, that's good. It's good to have like those kind of set aside times where you're just doing that activity. Something I do as an active form of self care is routinely working with a therapist to stay on top of my mental health, and something I could be more proactive in getting in more physical activity and being attentive in my social life. Yeah, definitely. I relate. Physical fitness and weightlifting, prayer and meditation are part of my personal self care. Love to improve with time management and scheduling. Yeah. And as I've said, it's a journey. The it's not really the destination we're focused on. It's really, how we're gonna get there. And it's all about when you do, quote unquote lack in certain areas, it's good to not, tear yourself down and be like, oh, I need to do better. I need to do this. Why aren't I doing this? It's okay to hold yourself to a certain standard, yeah, but also it's also important to be nice to yourself and to really um, be your own be your own best advocate. Geez, and and just be your own friend. Be helpful to yourself. Because there's enough people in the world who are gonna say something about you. So it's good to be you know kind of protective of your mental well-being as well as your physical, spiritual, social, everything. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. um yeah, these are all great, you guys. Thank you guys so much for putting those in the chat, and I'm sorry I didn't get to everyone. um but we're going to move on a little bit to building a self-care routine, and it's really about uh something that fits like your lifestyle, and really assess your needs. Think about what areas you're currently, neglecting, whether it's physical, mental, social, or spiritual. You can jot down what needs the most attention right now, you know. But don't be overly critical. There are circumstantial things out of our control that kind of prevent us from doing things like that, right? Like if you're in an objectively hard class and you do require a lot of studying, then yeah, it's going to be a little more difficult to fit some other things in. But like I said, it's a process. And it's good to start small because you don't want to overwhelm yourself by trying to change everything at once. So start with one or two manageable goals, such as improving your sleep or incorporating, 15 minutes of exercise, because that's where really good habits start to form. Like I used to do these, what are they called? Like New Year's resolutions, and they'd be so grand and so big, and then by like 2 weeks in, I'm like, what am I doing? Like you need to start at the ground floor. You're not gonna start on the 10th floor, and then work your way up. You got to start somewhere. So it's good to kind of assess where you are versus where you want to be, and it's okay to take however many steps it takes to get there, And it's also good to track your progress, whether it's a journal or, certain apps. Um, if someone wants to be eating better, or if they're trying to lose weight or whatever it is, they could use like this next one is MyFitnessPal. It's it kind of breaks it down on like what you're trying to go for fitness and calorie intake and stuff like that. And another one that I recently found is something called Habitica, Habitica. And it's this really cute thing where like you kind of go through these daily things that you would like to do, or even long-term goals that you would like to do, and kind of check them off. And then you get like these points. And then as you can see, I got, you know, 2 coins. That's just because I made it the other day. But yeah, it's about finding a method that works for you. And if you find that that method doesn't work for you, that's totally cool. You can find a different thing. Or if you find that, tracking your progress is kind of can be a little detrimental sometimes, if you're kind of like holding yourself to this massive standard that you're like, oh wow, I can't do all this stuff, it's a lot, then kind of scale it back a little bit and just start small. It's important not to overwhelm yourself is really what I'm trying to get at. And so with everything, there can be potential barriers to self-care. As I've said before, there's time constraints, there could be financial limitations, and there's, you know, other alternatives for these things. Like, you can go out on nature walks or do at-home workouts or use free wellness apps. Like, there's one I use called Mantra, which helps, and it puts like affirmations on my phone like every hour or something. And it's good to just it's small things like that. You get a notification and you read it and you're like, okay, I'm good, you know, something like that. And that's a free app. And self-care really can be and should be simple and cheap, you know. If it should be free. Um, and there's also societal pressures, you know. As I've said before, like society is always telling us to like grind through stress, like, okay, I just got to make it through this next thing. I got to make it through this next thing, you know, it's, but that's a fast track to burnout. You want to do these things to avoid burnout, but unfortunately, burnout does happen. And so, these things of self-care are incredibly important, because regardless of what, society or other people say, it's okay to take a step back, set boundaries and say no when you need to protect your mental health. It's okay to do things you don't want to do, you know. It's okay to say no. All of this is okay. So, yeah, it's crucial not only for school and work, but for every aspect of our lives. We need to be our own best advocates and supporters. All of this is, you know, we're all in this together. We're all on our different journeys, and we're all meeting people at different journeys in their lives. And recognizing that not only in yourself but in other people will make a world of a difference. Meeting people where they are, instead of where they should be, and vice versa, is incredibly important. It's good to, not set expectations, that are too high, not, but it's also okay to back out when things aren't going, the way you want them to, you know, in terms of, relationships or family or friends or anything really. It's okay to take a break, not everyone's journey is the same. So, Alondra says, I've gotten very comfortable with saying no. And that's great. That's fantastic. I'm very glad that, you've gotten to that place that you can, say that. You know, it's it's very it's very crucial. It's very helpful in establishing yourself not only as a person but as a person to like who interacts with other people daily. It's important to have your own boundaries and say no when you don't want to do something because you know we're not beholden to other people. It's okay to scale it back and do these self-care exercises that make you a fuller person. And it's all about you know finding things that work for you. Yeah. Yeah, you always feel like you're letting people down, but then you have to realize you're putting yourself on the back burner too much to please everyone. Yeah, totally. I'm a people pleaser 100%. And saying no is definitely a point of contention. So it's good to practice it on people. It's good to be like because every time you say no or do something, it's building that skill little by little to the point where you're like, okay, I'm more comfortable, you know? So, and it's okay to be less than perfect, to not be okay, to have bad days, to make mistakes, to be yourself, and it's okay to do what's best for you. So, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys listening. And if you guys have any questions, um, if you want to speak or write them in the chat, I'll be happy to answer them. But thank you guys a lot for listening. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys.